Good morning. Welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Gruddick, your host. Delighted to have you with us. Wishing everyone a very good morning. There are 159 counties in the state of Georgia. Carroll County is in the top 5 of drug overdoses in the state. Now, if that's not a sobering statistic, I don't know what is, and that's including DeKalb, Fulton, Cobb, Gwinnett, very populated counties. We're very pleased to have in studio with us this morning Carroll County Coroner Keith Hancock. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning, Steve.
It's good to have you in. We haven't had you in since Election Day, so it's a real pleasure. You spoke last Thursday at the 2023 Carroll County Fentanyl Awareness Summit, which I think was highly successful. And you took the stage and you shared with us some of the statistics that are precisely targeted for Carroll County. You being the coroner, you've got the most accurate stats of anybody in terms of drug overdoses and deaths, and as we talk about fentanyl this morning and other opioids. So if you would, let's just take a few minutes, no rush. Let's go through some of these stats to really see what an enormous, my first stat, I think, if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does, but what an enormous problem this is for Carroll County.
Absolutely, Steve. And again, like you said, the summit last week was very well attended, I thought, and Jody Goodman and the Carroll County Mental Health Advocate organization there did a great job with that and helping bring awareness to this crisis that's here in our county. And I'll just start back like I did then with 2017 stats. On that, in 2017, the coroner's office ran a total of 288 coroner cases. And of that was 28 drug-related deaths out of that. And the way the medical examiner and GBI cover the drug-related deaths, they're actually considered accidental deaths there on that. So we had 28 in 2017, and 4 of those deaths were related to fentanyl. In 2018, we ran a total of 249 cases, and out of those, 22 was drug-related deaths, and only 1 involved fentanyl in 2018. But as we move forward from there, it starts ramping up with the fentanyl-related deaths. In 2019, we ran 251 cases and 34 drug-related deaths, and 5 of those involved fentanyl. In 2020, we did 282 total cases, and out of that, we had 35 drug-related deaths, but 14 strictly related to involving fentanyl on that. 2021, we ran a total of 332 coroner cases, and out of those was 44 drug-related deaths, with 21 involving fentanyl.
Okay, keep going.
In 2022, we ran 302 coroner cases, 41 drug-related, and out of that, as of right now, there's 29 involving fentanyl, but I'm still waiting on 12 cases to come back from the GBI, so that number will go up there, which I believe stated at the summit last week, that's 71% fentanyl-related, drug-related deaths for last year.
Well, if we add 12, or even if we only added, say, half of that to the fentanyl deaths, we've jumped from 21 to, let's say, 35.
Right.
Whereas the drug overdoses did not, in fact, decreased a bit.
Right, yes, sir.
So, fentanyl is exploding here locally.
It is. And then you have to stop and think about all those that were Narcaned and brought back.
Yeah, that's even with Narcan.
Right. And so that number could be larger if the Narcan wasn't available and the first responders using it to get these people back.
Do we have any? I don't guess you wouldn't have any stats as to how many Narcans were executed.
I don't.
Yeah, but it's got to be a bunch.
Right, yes, sir.
And then it's not only the law enforcement and emergency responders; it's individuals themselves.
That's correct.
So this is a real problem.
It is in this area.
Well, it's probably it's become a real problem for every community.
It is, and even statewide. I
Yeah.
mean, the medical examiner's office is very backed up with it, especially back midsummer and in through the fall of this year. It was 2 weeks when we would send a body in for autopsy before they'd be released. That's how backed up.
But now the medical examiner's office has always been somewhat backed up, hasn't it?
Right, but
Seems
not that bad.
Not this bad. So the fentanyl outbreak is also backing up normal procedures for the medical examiner's office, which is important in terms of cases being investigated.
That's right.
And that kind of thing. Did you ever think you would see numbers like this?
No, did not.
And when you now, not every death is sent to the medical examiner's office. So when you label it as a fentanyl death, how does that work?
Okay, it's the death investigation at the scene reveals there was probably drug-related death, so that's an automatic autopsy by the medical examiner.
It is?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we send them in, and then once they do the autopsy and they do the toxicology testing and then make their final report, they issue, the cause and manner of death to me, and then that's what classifies it as, fentanyl-related death.
From my notes, when the two chiefs were on, I made a note, I trust this is accurate, that in 2022, the Carrollton Police Department administered Narcan 14 times.
Wow.
So that was hopefully 14 lives that were saved.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been added to this statistic.
Right.
Absolutely remarkable numbers. Okay, well we're on Facebook Live. If you got any questions or comments for Coroner Keith, please post them there. We're going to be back with more. We're talking about fentanyl. We're talking about the fentanyl summit that occurred last Thursday. And we're going to learn a lot more from Carroll County Coroner Keith Hancock after these words.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a believer in the power of education, we are called to set the standard by shaping and empowering the minds of future generations through quality education. Oak Mountain Academy embraces this philosophy, which is why my children attend this prestigious school. I am elated to serve on the OMA Board of Trustees, where together we prepare students and remind them to trust and believe in the power to transform the world. I'm Dr. Brian Bain, inviting you to celebrate our 60-year legacy of academic excellence. Visit us at oakmountain.us.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Carroll County Coroner Keith Hancock is on the show, and we're talking about fentanyl and drug overdoses. And we've given out some numbers that are startling. 159 counties in Georgia, and Carroll County's in the top 5 for drug overdoses. That's just remarkable. And we don't know the final numbers for 2022, but they're going to be they're already significantly greater than 2021 in terms of fentanyl deaths, while drug overdoses was down 3. That's still surprising. Let's talk about, I don't want to say it that way because that's not a good way of saying it, but it seems like we're getting more of these extraneous drugs and substances mixed in with what your standard understood to be illicit drugs, illegal drugs are. Is that the case? Fentanyl is often mixed in, and I think we have other animal products that are mixed in. And describe that for us, if you would.
Right, that's correct, Steve. It's the fentanyl is mixed in with the synthetic pills that people are making that resemble the like hydrocodone, oxycodone, and they're cutting in the fentanyl with it. Your meth, your heroin, you're seeing it cut in with fentanyl, and something that started in 2021 that we started seeing and that the GBI is starting to track a little more is a drug called xylazine, which is a non-opioid veterinarian tranquilizer that's not for human use, but the manufacturers of the drug is starting to cut that in. So with it being a non-opioid, if it's mixed in with that drug, it's a depressant that slows down your respiratory system and heart rate. And if they get a little too much of that in their system through the drug that they're using, and they are Narcan won't reverse the effect because it's not an opioid base. So
what kind of animal tranquilizer?
You see it for horses, cattle, that type, and it's relatively available. You can Google it, you can buy it online.
Does it give you some sort of high or something?
It's more of a europhic type
Right.
effect that goes along with the
It
drug.
would seem that a horse or a 1 ton or 800-pound cow would, that's just like, it's got to be deadly.
It is.
Is it really?
Right, it is. So it's mixed in. So we're seeing that. So like when we get the tox screen back, then the cause of death, it's toxic effects of heroin, fentanyl, xylazine. They list
You're
all those
kidding.
drugs out as to what actually caused.
And the one who's the subject of the drug overdose doesn't really know
What
Am I
they're
wrong?
getting. That's
What they're
correct.
getting.
Yeah, they don't know what they're getting. They think they're buying heroin, but it's heroin mixed with other things.
That's just incredible. And we're talking about. I know they said at the fentanyl summit that fentanyl reaches everyone in all age groups and all economic categories, etc. But it generally hits people who are 18 to 34 years old. In the quote-unquote prime of life, such
That's
that,
correct,
however you want to
And
define that.
we had 15 deaths in that range from 18 to 35. Was 15 deaths. And a lot of people are surprised at the stat of up to age 65, we had 4 in the range from 55 to 65. So,
But they're thinking they're getting something else. And this is all types of illicit drugs. It's not just heroin.
right. Mhm.
I mean, can it appear in weed and marijuana?
It's meth. They are starting to lace it in some of the marijuana
You're kidding.
on that.
So basically, you have some guy that bought a couple of joints or whatever they call it now. Then they could end up dying from fentanyl.
Fentanyl. Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you show up.
Yes, sir.
You show up. Let's talk about you showing up for a minute. What's it like to show up to the scene of something like this, where a relatively young person had, you would think, the world by its tail or whatever, and was doing quite well, and they're gone. And then you've got to the degree that the coroner does, console or inform the family. What's it like?
Right. It's tough, Steve, especially on those that are, younger than me, the 18-year-olds, the 20, 21. I mean, no death is easy based off age, but especially the younger ones. And most of the ones work have had this addiction for some time, but still it's not easy on the parents or the loved ones, whoever they're living with, the spouse. And it's tough, and try to be very sympathetic and express to them our desire to help them. move forward from this point as well, and walk them through the steps of what's going to take place next. The hardest thought was during that time frame where I was having to tell families it's going to be 2 weeks before your loved one's released, so you'll be able to have a final goodbye with them.
If it's 2 weeks,
right.
It may be longer.
Right, and so it's tough. It's not an easy task at all.
But at that moment, you don't know precisely or exactly what killed them.
Right.
So they suspect, but they're probably in denial.
Correct. A lot are. Some, the evidence is there. The paraphernalia that they were using is usually found at the scene, so it's a pretty general idea of what did happen.
But what about the parents or the family members when the kid or the individual, the adult, gives no evidence whatsoever that there was any drug usage? That's got to be horrific.
It is, and then that's puzzling for us, and then we're very concerned, and that's the reason we're want the autopsy done, so we'll know exactly and have the answer to help them with the grieving process. And
the job of the coroner is what, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Yes, sir, something like that.
Yeah. Or maybe it's not, after COVID, it's 10 to 4, and you zoom in most of them. Okay, got it. Yeah. So it really is a 24/7 job.
It is.
So having to do this at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. is particularly difficult, isn't it?
It is. But we get notified by dispatch, and so they sort of give us what we're headed to. So that gives us an opportunity while we're driving there to sort of, get things in our head in line and in order and know how we're going to proceed. And then once we get there, we meet with the law enforcement agency that's on scene, and they give us a more in-depth detail, and then we just work together and work through it.
Pretty good group of local law enforcement?
Absolutely, yes. Mm-hmm. Each agency, I respect them all, and they return that respect to me. We got great working relationship with each law enforcement agency.
How many deputy coroners do you have?
Have 3.
3? Mm-hmm. Who are they? Let's give them a shout out.
Ed Baskin, and Buddy Lambert and Stephen Stapleton. Ed and Buddy's been the longest. They served with Sammy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Sammy at the end because I think it's just we got to. You can't not talk about Sammy a little bit when we're going to do a program like this. Tell us. Over the years, I've seen the work of coroners and got to know a couple, and I don't think people really understand. Or I would assume most people don't understand really the role. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the role of coroner?
Well, the role is, we, according to state law, we have certain criteria that we have to be notified on, and that's, your accidental deaths, which are motor vehicle related, any trauma related type from fall or various things, and then another rate that's, are deaths that are high in this county that we'd like to see less is suicides. We respond to those deaths, and then natural deaths where people are at home and just are found that passed don't have a primary doctor that can sign off on the death certificate. But so it's those type deaths that we all respond to, your homicides. Mm-hmm. And then every year we have at least 2 or 3 deaths that are undetermined, that even through an autopsy the medical examiner cannot come up with a cause and manner of death, so they just rule it undetermined.
Dan Ditson posted that Narcan is available for free on GeorgiaOverdosePrevention.org, GeorgiaOverdosePrevention.org. I've never checked that out, so that just comes from him. It seems like more and more people, and I forget the prescription name, but are obtaining Narcan, and it seems to be highly effective. I assume you've seen it used several times, and can snap somebody back immediately.
Right, yes. The video that they showed at the summit last week, very eye-opening, seeing it and how it works.
That was very graphic.
Right,
we didn't show it on our screen, but it's is clearly a real problem. What would you say to the local community at large? And the thrust of the fentanyl summit last Thursday was mainly that we keep talking about it, to raise awareness. I mean, do you concur? And what as a local community should we do?
Absolutely. Awareness number one. And I was so grateful for that summit. And I was really shocked at, the attendance, and especially from outside community people that came and was like, I wanted to learn more about it and find out. So I hope it was very eye-opening. But the awareness, foremost, the help that's available. You mentioned Dan there commenting. He has an organization that was represented there at the summit that is a helpful resource tool. You got the Carroll County Mental Health Advocacy that is a resource, but awareness and letting the people know that there is help out there for them on this, and to move forward. And then, not to get political, but the greater spectrum, as you and I talked, would be your border control,
yes.
How this stuff's getting here.
Yeah.
But that's a little far out of mine in your hand, I believe.
Well, I think that's the bottom line, is the chemicals for fentanyl are coming from communist China. They're shipped to Mexico, where the drug cartels produce the fentanyl. And from there, across the open border, they're transported to Atlanta, which acts as a hub, and then they end up in West Georgia. So until that border's shut down, or we declare war on the cartels, local communities all across America, and more so than most, apparently, Carroll County, are going to have to deal with the fentanyl crisis.
That's right.
And it's a horrible, horrible thing to lose people to, a drug overdose where they don't even know what was in the drug.
What they're taking.
Golly,
That's right.
That's just got to be. That's just got to be awful. And at the awareness summit, which, by the way, a good portion of that is streamed on our WLBB Facebook page. There were many family members there. I was surprised to see and hear from so many family members who had lost loved ones who were present. So the ramifications of this is not only through your family, extended family, but it's generational.
That's correct.
The daddy or granddaddy or grandmother or mother, died because of fentanyl. Our guest this morning is Carroll County Coroner Keith Hancock, and we're going to be back with more with Keith, but first, these words.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
I'm Michael Flynn, Oak Mountain Academy class of 1978.
Katie Flynn, class of 2010.
Justin Flynn, class of 2014.
Logan Flynn, class of 2019.
And I'm Marnie Flynn, current teacher at OMA.
My uncle Richard Orm Flynn, a founding father of Oak Mountain Academy, had a vision to see students become confident leaders who hold a faith-based value system in an academically rigorous environment. We are proud to celebrate 60 years of fulfilling my uncle's vision.
Our family invites you to visit the campus or oakmountain.us today.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you to our sponsors, Oak Mountain Academy and Tanner Health System. We've been talking about fentanyl and the Fentanyl Awareness Summit that occurred last Thursday, and thrust of the summit being simply to raise awareness and to become better educated regarding the issues surrounding fentanyl. But with that said, I think it would be, I can't do it, but I cannot have Keith Hancock in the studio and we not take a moment aside to talk about Sammy Edie, who passed at the age of 82 1 month ago. Almost, what is today? I don't even know what day it is.
Today's the 6th.
So just over a month ago, he passed on February 5th. Sammy touched thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in his lifetime here. I'm no different from that. And I know you're a deputy coroner, and he was a mentor to you. In getting my papers together, I found the sheet where it said he endorsed you for the next Carroll County coroner. Mm-hmm. So let me read a quote, and this will be kind of a. He served for 28 years as coroner, and in this endorsement, he thanks the citizens, as you would expect him to, for this, allowing him to serve since 1988. But here's a quote. This is from Sammy Edie. When I started as coroner, Carroll County did not have an office or equipment. I went to work one day with my wife's Polaroid camera. Since then, I have equipped a professional office with equipment and quality deputy coroners. We now have a dedicated office, phone, vehicle, computer, and specialized camera equipment, unquote. I just thought that was so neat. And that's a testimony to the work he did, and you were one of his deputy coroners. We all who are blessed, and of course I'm one. I'm piggybacking on my father and my grandfather who were in radio. But what was it like coming in after Sammy had kind of built the foundation?
Yeah. Sammy was a great mentor to me, really supported me at, big shoes to fill. Not that I will ever fill those shoes, but hope to walk in his footsteps and serve the people of Carroll County as well as he did on that. But he did lay, good groundwork for me and for the coroner's office, and establishing good relationship board of commissioners and moving forward, and say that today still have their support as well as they did for him, and just grateful for his friendship and his mentorship to me, or I wouldn't be sitting here across from you today.
To do a job 24-hour a day is pretty demanding. And Sammy did it for, we see here, 28 years. How do you keep going 24 hours a day?
It's tough, but, one thing that with the growth of the county, that's one thing, as you saw how many calls we're responding to, and this, with the deputy coroners now, we sort of rotate call schedule out, so it's not all on one person. But there's times where we get 2 or 3 in one day, and you just have to keep putting your foot forward and moving forward. Catch a cat nap when you can. From a
Polaroid camera to today's technology, how's it changed?
Well, greatly. Now we use Canon digital cameras or the iPhone. It's takes just as well pictures on that. So it has changed greatly from the Polaroid cameras.
Yeah.
I've still got that Polaroid camera in the office,
really?
By the way.
Do you really? Yeah, back in 1988, there was no email, there was no internet to speak of, and there was none of the things we have become so incredibly dependent upon in this day and time. Okay, well, our gratitude this morning is to Carroll County Coroner Keith Hancock for coming in as we talk about fentanyl and his work as we address the fentanyl crisis here locally. Again, if you'd like to see some of the Fentanyl Awareness Summit, it's on our WLBB Facebook page. You'll just scroll down. There are 2 segments there, and I'm sure you'll find them very moving and important to you. How does someone best contact Carroll County Coroner Keith Hancock?
Okay, they can call the office at 770-838-7136 or email khancock@carrollcountyga.com.
All right. Thank you for listening. Carpe diem. You're in tune to WLBB Carrollton.